This case is all about DNA, so we have a full DNA profile of the man that I believe murdered Natalie Pearman. It's just a simple matter of, if we were given the information, it's a very simple step for us to check the DNA of that person and to see whether we have a match or not. It really is that straightforward. My own personal view is there are people in Norfolk that know who the offender was, who killed Natalie, and maybe out of a sense of loyalty they haven't told me, maybe they've just not wanted to for whatever reasons. There is people who are listening or reading that know or suspect who was responsible, and it may not be that they have direct information, but they may have been told something, they may have suspected somebody at the time in 1992. And going back to 1992, this was the day that Windsor Castle caught fire. It was just after Norwich had been top of the Premiership and were beaten 7-1 by Blackburn. So to put it in a context, anybody over sort of 40 years old would probably remember this. Well, Natalie's family, her mum and her sister, have a point of contact from us, and that officer is in regular contact with them. It's a quarter of a century now, and I think they've had some highs and lows over that time. So, they're good enough to let us do what we think is the right thing. But of course, 25 years of the roller coaster ride they've been on is fairly unimaginable. Well, I think any parent listening to this would realise that to lose your 16-year-old daughter, and a 16-year-old is little more than a child. Natalie was a month short of her 17th birthday. The impact of that is just unrecoverable from, and her mum and her stepdad and her family have lived with this for 25 years. So the impact has been enormous on them, but like I've said, the opportunity to close this is still there. I did a similar appeal to what I'm doing today in 5 years ago, 2012. There was some calls came in. A lot of that repeated information we knew, but there was new stuff that came in. In 2013, a man was arrested in connection with the murder of Natalie. It transpired that he wasn't responsible, but just to show that the inquiry is alive and his officers working on it all the time. There was a total review of 5,000 pieces of work. So the original inquiry was about 4,500 documents, messages, statements. I've personally been through every single one of those documents, and as a result of that, that's created another 600 pieces of work. And also we've DNA'd nearly 700 people since then. So I think it's 686 men have given the DNA because of interest in the inquiry. So that just shows the commitment we've continued with. Names do come in inquiry from all different sources, Steve Wright being a typical example from the Suffolk murders a few years ago. We know it's not Steve Wright because the DNA is different, and all the cases that are brought to our attention we will check with the relevant forces to see if there's similarities and to see if forensic is the same, and we've continued to do that ever since I've had the case, and of course there hasn't been a match.